Imagine you want to open a factory in the Netherlands. You've bought the land, you have the permits, you have the money. You call the grid operator to connect your building to the electricity network, and they tell you something that shouldn't be possible in one of the richest countries on earth. There's no room. Get in line. It might be years. This is not a story about a country running out of electricity. The Netherlands has plenty of electricity. It's a story about running out of space to move it. The wires are full. Right now, more than 14,000 businesses, schools, fire stations, and housing projects are sitting on a waiting list, unable to get a connection. And the queue at the national grid operator alone represents 38 gigawatts of demand that simply cannot be served. Here's the uncomfortable part. This didn't happen because the Dutch fell behind. It happened because they moved too fast. The Netherlands is the first country in the world to slam into this wall, and everyone else is heading for the same one. So how do you fix a grid that's full when building new cables takes a decade? The Dutch answer is one of the strangest and most inventive pieces of infrastructure thinking in years. They stopped trying to build a bigger network and started sharing the one they've got. To understand what's happening, forget cables for a moment and think about a motorway. A power grid is a road network for electrons. The cables are the lanes. And like any motorway, the problem isn't the total number of cars over a day. It's the peak, rush hour. Everyone trying to use the same lanes at the same moment. For decades, the Dutch grid had comfortable rush hours. Electricity flowed one way, from a few large power stations out to homes and businesses, and the peaks were predictable. Then two things happened at once. First, generation flipped. Solar panels went up on roofs, in fields, on warehouses all across the country. Suddenly, electricity wasn't flowing from a handful of big plants outward. It was being produced in thousands of scattered locations, often in rural areas, far from where it's actually needed, and pushed back into a network never designed to carry it in that direction. Second, demand electrified. Heat pumps replaced gas boilers. Electric cars replaced petrol. Factories swapped furnaces for electric processes. And crucially, this didn't raise total electricity use as dramatically as you'd expect. What it did was raise the peaks. Everyone charges at once. Everyone heats at once. So the traffic didn't just increase. It changed direction, spread out across the country, and bunched into sharper and sharper rush hours on a road network built for the opposite pattern. The result is a phenomenon with a very dry name and very dramatic consequences. Grid congestion. And the consequences are genuinely strange to see in a wealthy, well-run country. A company wants to expand and electrify its production. It can't because there's no capacity to deliver the power. A housing development is designed and financed, and stalls because the grid can't feed it. Businesses that want to install solar panels are told they can't feed their surplus back because at midday, the local network is already overflowing with sunshine. The regional operators are holding more than 14,000 requests, totaling around 9 gigawatts. The national operator, 10ET, has a shorter list, just a couple of hundred requests, but they're enormous ones, adding up to about 38 gigawatts of unmet demand. And in parts of the country, the reserved room for ordinary growth is running out too. The Netherlands, a nation defined by its ability to engineer around any obstacle, hit an obstacle it couldn't simply build past. So the obvious question is, why not just build more cables? They are. Billions are going into new lines, new substations, reinforced connections. But grid reinforcement is brutally slow, and not mainly for technical reasons. You need land, and permission from everyone whose property at a high voltage line crosses. You need years of planning and environmental procedures. And critically, you need people. Skilled electrical engineers and technicians are in desperately short supply, and you cannot conjure a workforce out of nothing. Realistically, a major reinforcement takes closer to a decade than a year, which leaves an obvious problem. What do you do about all those businesses waiting now? This is where the Dutch did something clever. They looked at the full grid and asked a question that hadn't really been asked before. Is it actually full or is it just reserved? Because here's the thing about a grid connection. When a company gets one, it books a maximum capacity, sized for its worst-case peak. A factory that occasionally needs a lot of power reserves that amount permanently, even though for most of the day it uses a fraction of it. Multiply that across thousands of businesses, and you get a network that is theoretically full, while a large amount of the booked capacity sits unused most of the time. The grid isn't crowded, it's overbooked. Which leads to the solution, the energy hub. The idea is simple and slightly radical. Instead of every business on an industrial estate holding its own private connection contract, a group of them negotiates together as a collective with the grid operator. They get one shared allocation, and then they sort out among themselves who uses what and when. One firm runs its heavy machinery in the morning. Another charges its truck fleet overnight. A third feeds surplus solar into the group at midday. Instead of each company defending its own private reservation, they coordinate. And because they coordinate, the group can collectively make use of more capacity than they could as individuals. In exchange, they hand a portion of their old individually booked capacity back to the grid operator, who can then offer it to somebody else on the waiting list. Think about what that actually is. It's carpooling for electricity. The lanes stay the same. You just stop driving one person per car. This required changing more than attitudes. The Dutch regulator had to rewrite the rules of the grid itself, adapting the codes governing network use and tariffs so that group contracts and shared capacity limits were even legally possible. That's a genuinely unusual move. Rather than only engineering the hardware, they re-engineered the contract. Alongside the hubs sit other tools. Flexible contracts, where a user accepts limits during peak hours in exchange for getting connected sooner. Batteries, charging when the network is quiet and discharging when it's strained. And grid operators now running tenders, inviting companies to offer flexibility to the market. In February of 2026, the Dutch government pulled all of this into a national program, with 8 measures aimed squarely at shortening the queue. The stated ambition is to unlock something in the order of 5 to 10 gigawatts of usable capacity by 2030 and roughly 10 to 20 by 2035. Not by laying that much new cable, but largely by using what already exists more intelligently. There's an interesting philosophical shift buried in that. For a century, the deal with the electricity grid was simple. You pay, you connect, you use as much as you like, whenever you like. That deal is quietly ending in the Netherlands. What's replacing it is a system where capacity is a shared resource, negotiated with your neighbors. For a country that has spent 1,000 years managing shared water, where communities have had to agree on pumping, dikes, and drainage because failing to cooperate meant flooding, that's a strikingly familiar idea. The Dutch have simply applied a waterboard mentality to electrons. And this is why what happens here matters far beyond the Netherlands. Every country electrifying its economy is heading toward the same wall. More solar, more wind, more heat pumps, more electric vehicles, all pushing against grids designed for a world of a few big power stations in predictable demand. The Netherlands got there first because it electrified faster and it's densely built, with less room to string new lines. So it's running the experiment on everyone's behalf. If shared capacity works here, it becomes the template. If it fails, every other country gets a very expensive warning. The Dutch didn't run out of power. They ran out of room. And rather than waiting a decade for more lanes, they're rewriting the rules of the road. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button and subscribe to Blueprint Files. Would you accept limits on when you can use electricity in exchange for getting connected years earlier? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.